It's an easy journey. I'd be lying if I were to say it was an easy journey. I mean, the demands are very high. So it's a lot of hard work, before you get to partnership. I feed off their energy as well. I feed off their approach, their strategy, given the fact that essentially what we do, it's creative thinking in solving our clients' problem.
Don't be afraid of falling, 'cause you know we gon' fly.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kensani and I bring you faith, education, wisdom, and lifestyle content. Today's guest is somebody I have been looking to having on the channel for a long time. It is Ziyanda Sibeko. Ziyanda is a partner in the dispute resolution department at Weber Wenzel. He has a diverse general commercial litigation practice and experience, often involving high regulated industries such as mining, petroleum, gas, and oil industries, including medical schemes industries, insurance, financial services, construction, and public procurement. His work extends to commercial arbitrations, environmental law, forensic investigations, public and administrative law, and general contracts and disputes. Ziyanda has experience in High Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, and Constitutional Court litigation. He says his biggest achievement is becoming a partner at Weber Wenzel. I think at just the age of 30.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I want to read Ziyanda's qualifications, and please bear with me because this is insane. Ziyanda holds a Master's of Laws specializing in environmental law from the University of the Witwatersrand, a postgraduate certificate, Advanced Administrative Law from University of the Witwatersrand, postgraduate certificate, Advanced Company Law, postgraduate certificate, prospecting and mining law, a Bachelor of Laws from the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Welcome, Ziyanda.
Thank you, Kenzie. It's lovely being here. I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad we're having this sit down eventually. And thank you for the invite. I'm happy to be here.
Guys, it's so weighty to be in the presence of greatness.
But kids, I told you that I don't deal well with compliments, but thank you. Really, really appreciate it. That was a mouthful to say.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I was very nervous. I'm glad actually that bio is over.
Yeah.
And I want for you to share a bit about yourself.
Sure.
Not just the professional elements that I spoke
Certainly.
about, but who is Ziyanda?
So Kenzie, maybe let's take it back. Ziyanda is a township lad through and through, born and bred in Davidson. I was raised by my grandparents. Obviously, this is after my mom sadly passed on when I was about 11 years old. Went through high schooling also in Benoni at a school called Wordsworth High School. Then matriculated there. Then I was one of the few odd ones who went to PE to go study there. So I did my LLB at the university, back then it was called Nelson Mandela University. Now it's called, I think it's Mandela University, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, and this was around between 2012 and 2015. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Grew up in the East Rand through and through. So I'm an East Rand guy. Yeah, and just so happened to go to PE to go study.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ziyanda, there is that's a background that is full actually, because full in the sense that sometimes we look at life as not being full based on where we come from. But I look at your life story as something that speaks into fullness of life. You're somebody from Davidson. You've suffered loss. You've made it past all of that. You've raised your brothers. Now they're going to university.
Yeah.
I think it just shows how much you've overcome over the years, and I think that's what a full life looks like.
Absolutely.
And you adore your grandmother. I think people
Yes.
like your grandmother is the star of the show.
Yeah, so I've got a good relationship with my grandmother. I think it's owing to the fact that she raised us, and also taught us principles of just being selfless, being able to give of yourself, being able to share the little that you've got. And I think I learned those principles in my upbringing as well, that, even things like Ubuntu, and I think those things are important because they're also filtered through, adult life as well, and also filtered through in how you treat people in general, and I think those are very important. I hold them near and dear to me. Yeah, and I really enjoy people who are selfless, people who can give of themselves and who appreciate that, it's not about you only, Yeah, in as much as you need to prioritize yourself, but we also need to give of ourselves. So I enjoy those principles, and it has also filtered through my professional life as well. So I take the training of candidate attorneys very, very, very seriously. I think it's important that you pay it forward to the next generation, or to the next generation of lawyers who are coming through, imparting your knowledge and experience, and making sure that they also have a fair opportunity in their profession. They grow up, well, not grow up, but they develop skills as well, and eventually they become admitted attorneys, and they're in a position just to excel and flourish in their careers. So those principles are filtered through even in my professional working life. So yeah, grateful for those.
Yeah. I think also one of the principles that have filtered through into your life is one of diligence.
Yeah,
And your favorite quote is diligence is the mother of good luck. Do you want to
absolutely.
just unpack that for us?
Yeah, for me, I suppose it also goes to the saying that the harder you work, the more luckier you become. So that's essentially how I view it.
Yeah.
It's all about hard work. It's all about being diligent. Putting in the hardships, and making sure that you are working well. You're putting in the hours as well, and that's how you become more luckier, and that's how you achieve certain things in life. And I'm a firm believer that things don't happen accidentally. In as much as we do need an element of luck in whatever that we do, but you can't replace it with the base of hard work, putting in the work, because without that, you can't achieve anything. So you still have to have that base, in as much as you need a bit of luck, in certain things in life. But certainly you do need that base of hard work, of being grounded, of being focused, and the ability as well of starting something and actually seeing it to completion. I think it's also a good principle, and it's a good quality to have as
So
well.
good. So this week I had the honor of speaking at a WITS Education Initiative.
Well
For,
done.
thank you, for Every Nation Campus WITS.
Nice.
And the topic was Education and Excellence, Why Bother?
Yes.
And in that speech or presentation, I referred them to a scripture in the Bible that speaks about those who excel will not stand before obscure men or unknown men, but will serve before kings.
That's lovely.
And it just speaks about how be so good, you cannot be ignored. That people who become so good at what they do and people who put in the hard work, they actually get the reward of their work.
Certainly.
So just when I looked at your quote, I just linked it to that conversation. I was like, this is brilliant.
That's profound.
Yeah.
I guess great minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your journey to becoming a partner at a
Sure.
top law firm. Firstly, I think I want to go back to the initial stages of your career.
Yeah.
What do you think made you stand out as a candidate attorney when applying for the job?
Yeah. So I've always been a hard worker, Kenzie, since my student years. So I've always been involved in leadership roles. So I was in PE, I was involved in the Black Lawyers Association student chapter. I think that that part of my life or that part of my chapter, you know, it played a significant role as well. I've been able to meet amazing people through the BLA, amazing professionals as well, who have had an immense impact on my both my personal life and my professional life as well. So I was involved in the BLA. I remember around 2013, 2014, I would have been doing my second, third year. We went to a conference in Durban of the BLA. Now this is the mother body. At the time, I was the national deputy president of the BLA student chapter. So I got elected at the University of the Free State. Then following that, we attended a conference of the BLA mother body in Durban. And the former Chief Justice Zondo was the guest speaker at that particular conference, and it was an elective AGM of the BLA. I think it was held at the Sound Coast Casino. And then I met a gentleman called S.J. Tema. So S.J. Tema has had such an immense impact in my career because when I met him at the conference, he's still a member of the PLA, gave me his business card, asked me to send through my CV, which I did. At the time, S.J. Tema used to be a partner at Routledge Modise. Sent through my CV, got invited to the VAC program. Obviously, I did well at the time, and I got offered articles following that vacation work program. And at the time, Routledge Modise was also transitioning into becoming Hogan Lovells. So I did my articles at Hogan Lovells between 2016 2017. I did that, then got admitted as an attorney in 2018 in March. So I did 3 rotations during my 2 years of articles. So it's divided into a period of 8 months each. So it then works out to about 24 months eventually. So I did my rotation in commercial litigation. I did my rotation as well in mining, which also included mine health and safety. So then I also did another rotation in just general litigation, which was also under S.J. Tema's team. Then I got retained under mining, under Warren Beach's team. Worked with Warren Beach, stayed on as an associate for about a year and a bit. Then following that, I moved over to Webber Wenzel as an associate. Then I spent about a year as an associate at Webbers, then got promoted to senior associate. Then I did my 3 full years as a senior associate. And at the time I was in the commercial, so I transitioned a bit. So from mining, doing a lot of mining, health and safety work, then I transitioned my practice into commercial litigation. But obviously, I had that background and experience. Obviously, during my articles, I did 2 rotations under commercial litigation. So I've always been passionate about litigation in general and dispute resolution. Then following the 3 years as well, I mean, it was a lot of hard work. 3 years as an associate, then I eventually got promoted to partnership last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. So that's my journey in summary. But I think what's important, Kent, is that you need to come up with a plan. You need to stick with it. Obviously, I won't downplay the importance of having a sponsor. I think it's also important to have a sponsor within, be it the law firm or the organization that you work for. And I think you also need to sit down and say to your sponsor, this is my 5-year plan. I want us to commit to it. I want us to see it through. In the next 5 years, I want to see myself as a partner. And that's essentially what I did, where we sat down, we said, this is my 5-year plan, let's stick to it and let's see it through. So I think it's also important being able to put down something and stick through it and see it through as well. And I think it's also a great quality as well.
Okay. So what is a sponsor? And how does one get a sponsor?
So a sponsor, Kinsey, just to summarize it, it's someone who literally takes responsibility for your progression in your career within your organization. It's someone who who speaks on your behalf where it matters the most. Someone who'd go to a boardroom, sell your name, make sure that your career interests are looked after. So it's someone who literally takes a responsibility in making sure that you grow within the organization,
good.
you progress. When it's time for you to be promoted, they make sure that they put your name on the line as well, and actually make sure that you do live up to your goals as well. So that's essentially a sponsor, someone who takes personal responsibility for your career growth. Yeah, so it's more than just a mentor.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's someone who really puts their head on the block and say, look, Kenzie, for the next 5 years, I'm going to make sure that, or try by all means to make sure that you progress within the organization, you meet your goals, you get promoted when it's your time to get promoted, and you climb up the ladder. So yeah, so there's a difference between a normal mentor and a sponsor.
And then when it comes to furthering your education,
Yeah.
does a sponsor recommend you for funding, or they or they suggest certain courses that you can take to progress or gain more knowledge in certain fields or industries, or that is a personal decision?
Yeah, I suppose it's more of a personal decision, and actually also taking responsibility for your own career. But obviously, I mean, where I currently work, we do have programs where professionals are funded if you want to study further. I know our firm paid for my master's. I went on to go do my master's at Wits. I completed it. But obviously, there's terms that are attached to that. But I suppose it's more of a personal decision more than just your sponsor. I think your sponsor is more concerned about your career progression. So things like your own development, it's really up to you. You know.
So I would have expected you to have done a master's in mining and petroleum,
Yeah.
and then you went and you did one in enviro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we met, we
Yeah.
were in the same class for mineral mining and petroleum at Wits, years of
Yes.
2018, I think.
Yeah.
So what influenced the decision to do a master's in enviro?
Yeah. So there are two reasons. The first reason is, my practice is also developed and grown into receiving more instructions when it comes to work that has environmental disputes. And then secondly, I also enjoyed environmental law as a discipline, or as a discipline of the law as well. So what we do actually, even in dispute resolution, especially when we do a lot of work for mining houses, so mining also intersects a lot with environmental law. So I really enjoyed environmental law as a discipline of the law, and also just to broaden my practice as well in that area of the law. And then that's why I decided to choose environmental law. So my dissertation was based on the development and the application of the precautionary principle in
Nice.
environmental law. Yeah, so it was a very interesting topic. Essentially, what it says is that if there's any risk in the environment being sort of like harmed or damaged, so the precautionary principle says that you must err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of case law as well in South Africa, and I think that area of the law is slowly growing as well. And there's also ESG as well. So I think it was a natural thing, to do my master's in environmental law.
Yeah.
I know I gave you a long answer, but
That's great, because when I think about how I'm now in mining,
yes,
but what influenced me
Yeah.
was being in an environmental law. I chose environmental law as an elective in my final year.
Yeah.
And that opened up my mind. And
Absolutely.
I was like, what?
yeah, it's
I
very
cannot
interesting.
believe it's so
And
fascinating.
it's got so
and
many
so many
legislations.
layers.
It's got so many layers as
So
well.
many layers,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I remember one of the lectures that actually captured me, taught by Carls,
Yes.
was how the actually, if you look at it, environmental law is at the center of everything.
Absolutely.
Your right to life,
Yeah.
your right to dignity, your right to administrative justice, your right to information. Actually, it just housing, health,
Certainly.
everything. So it just sort of takes away
Yeah.
all of that. It subsumes. I hope that's a word,
Absolutely.
right? It
Yeah.
absorbs actually all of the rights into just one frame of sector in the law, but
Yeah,
it
it's all
covers so much.
encompassing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also did my an elective in environmental law in my final year of my LLB, and I think that also the love also began from there. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And also our greater responsibility of looking after the earth. I mean, we've seen it now in changing weather patterns. Global warming and stuff like that. So I'm really passionate about those things. So yeah, it also speaks to our responsibilities as humans and people who are here on earth, just to look after the earth and make sure that we maintain and look after what we've got.
Exactly. Section 24 actually captures it very nicely.
I always have nightmares when I think about this section. Because there's NEMA, and NEMA is also subdivided into your
Into-
Biodiversity
yes,
Acts.
the-
And
what
there's
is-
so many acts under NEMA,
Yes,
so,
yes.
but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I given a choice, I'd still do my master's again. I also had a good supervisor. His name is Professor Morombo from Wits. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So Ziyanda, I feel like you make things sound very easy. Your progression sounds scripted, like a movie.
No ways. There was a lot of work.
It's
Yes,
so
kids.
perfect. It sounds so perfect.
No ways.
So-
Obviously, there's also been challenges along
Yeah,
the way as
exactly.
well.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe that was your next question.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't an easy journey. I'd be lying if I were to say it was an easy journey. I mean, the demands are very high. You having to meet your financial obligations, and even more so, Kent, is that you also got a responsibility to train juniors, especially as a senior associate. You start assuming that responsibility of training juniors, your junior associates, your candidate attorneys. So it's a lot of hard work, before you get to partnership, and it's a lot of responsibility. And I think it's even worse once you become partnership, because I think one of the things that we tend to forget about, it's the responsibility that comes with partnership as well. I mean, my life did a 360 turn, I'm not saying I was a groovist, but I used to love, going out and stuff like that. But obviously, once you become a partner, you need to be careful, or you need to be circumspect the type of places that you also go to, because it's no longer about you now. You're representing a brand, you're representing the interest of the organization that you're working for, given the fact that you're now a leader. So partnership also comes with that leadership role. It's even how you carry yourself as well, be it outside or at work. It becomes important. You need to have that gravitas, if I may put it like that. So it also comes with a lot of responsibility, more than just the stresses of building a practice, the stresses of making sure that your juniors have got work as well. But I think what was more striking to me, it's the responsibility that comes with it, because your name is now on the letterhead.
Yeah.
So you also issue out opinions under your name now. So you also need to be considerate of your other partners as well, because their names as well and their reputations are on the line. So you also need to make sure that whatever you do or whatever goes out to clients, it's something that's of quality, something that's credible, because it's no longer about you now. It's also about your fellow partners, protecting the brand as well and the reputation. So yeah, my life did a 360 turn. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying. There's a saying that says, with to whom much is given, much is accepted. Expected.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No,
So
certainly.
it's I guess it's it's that season. But also I think we mustn't forget that with seasons where we are given more responsibility, there's also abundance.
Yes.
There's also a season where you're just thriving
Yeah.
in certain areas of your life. I think even mentally, the
Yeah.
person that you were 5 years ago when it comes to drafting and
Completely
arguing and
different.
research.
Yeah.
I think you're much more better now.
Yeah, I
You
look at
get
my
me.
letters that I drafted when I was an associate,
Yeah.
or the drafts that you do as an associate, and I
Yeah.
look at, the work products that you normally send out as a partner. There's a lot of maturity, even in your writing, even how you approach matters as well. And obviously, once you get to this level, it's assumed that you've got the technical know-how. So we assume that you are technically sound. But I think what's more important now is strategy, how you pursue matters.
So good.
Not so
So
much
good.
so about the actual crafting, but being able to lead in matters, being able to provide strategy, and especially in litigation, that's very much important. Before you even think about a course of action, you need to think about strategy. You need to think about weaknesses of your case. You need to think about the challenges that we may experience. I was debating this yesterday. In fact, last night I had a consultation with one of the counsel that we're working on in a matter, and we were exploring a certain course of action, and but he came up with something that I didn't think about. That actually, what? Yes, as plausible as it may be to bring this application, but we need to think about this. We need to think about that. So there's always a science behind these things. It's all about strategy. It's not about waking up one morning and just rushing to court. You need to think about these things carefully and actually even do a service to our clients' cases, because they come to us looking for answers, and the least we could do is to give them credible advice and answers which can resolve their disputes. So now, with the benefit of hindsight, strategy lies at the heart of what I do on a daily basis. It's not all about, yes, it's about putting in the hours, working hard, but at the center of it, it's about strategy, it's about alignment, it's about making sure that whatever we do, it's well thought through.
I remember when I was in practice, the
Yeah.
one thing I admired about my leaders or the partners that work at the firm was the strategies. So sometimes we had a consultant at some
Yeah.
point, and he was a former partner. When we'd get stuck, we'd always be like, okay, now
Yeah.
we need we need the strategists.
Yeah, you need a sounding board.
We need and then
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, now we've reached this point in this
Sure.
matter. How do we go about it? And
Yeah.
it would just be brilliant to see the kind of solutions that they'd come up with.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made the law so fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's just the challenge, but also you never arrive.
Yeah,
You can never
no,
say,
no,
I'm
no.
so good now.
No, we learn every
Yeah.
day. They can see. What we do, you literally learn every day. You can't say that you are the end all be all when it comes to certain disciplines of the law. We literally learn every day, and once you stop learning, I think you need to do some self introspection. But I think the more important point, maybe to make at this juncture, is creative thinking.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated about creative thinking because what we do is literally thinking creatively in solving our clients' problems. So I've been exploring the concept of creative thinking. So that's why I enjoy spending time with creatives a lot, because I feed off their energy as well. I feed off their approach, their strategy, given the fact that essentially what we do, it's creative thinking in solving our clients' problems. So I chill a lot with people in the advertising space, people in marketing. I tend to gravitate towards those people because
Smart.
yeah, they are smart firstly, and they think creatively in solving problems. And I think it's something as colleagues that we need to carefully think about, because sometimes certain things, they don't want a straight jacket approach. They want you to think creatively, think out of the box, obviously within the confines of the law,
Yeah.
but making sure that we assist,
Exactly.
clients with whatever needs that they've got or want or at the time,
And I'm sure you're thinking about how to give the best service
Yeah.
in a most cost-effective manner,
Precisely.
right? And within the legal confines. I think there's just a lot of elements into it, but it's amazing. I think we've talked a lot on the serious stuff.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
get on to
Let's get to
some
more
of-
exciting stuff.
Yeah, like what's your most prized possession?
Sure. Okay. I must be honest, I didn't give it much thought, but I think it would be my property.
Okay.
Yeah, where I
nice.
live. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm big in investing in the right things, Kinsey. Look, I love cars, but I'm not too big on cars. I believe in, investing in the right places. So I think where I currently live, the property that I own, it's definitely one of my most prized possessions.
Amazing. I love that. Real estate ownership is important
Yeah.
for particularly Black people. We
Yes.
need that. And okay, let's move on to the next one. What's a favorite book that you've read or are reading, and why?
So I'm currently reading a very interesting book.
Okay.
In fact, I'll recommend it to you.
Thank you.
I've got a copy in the car. Maybe you can take a picture after our
Awesome.
interview.
That's amazing.
It's a book called Trusted Advisor.
Okay.
So Trusted Advisor it teaches you about the soft skills.
So
And
good.
and I think it's very important, especially in the type of work that we do, because ultimately we all want to be trusted advisors to our clients, So it speaks about various industries, professionals in various industries, how they've worked hard or how they've done it to become trusted advisors. So I'm enjoying the book. I mean, I recently went to Cape Town now, and it was one of the books that I've been reading quite a bit. So it speaks about the soft skills, how to be top of mind when it comes to clients, how to leverage on the soft skills as well. And it gives you real life scenarios as well. So it's not just a self-help book,
Okay.
which I'm not a big fan of, but it gives you real life scenarios in terms of how to become a trusted advisor, your soft skills, the unspoken skills, how to behave when you are in front of clients, what to do, what not to do. So they take a group of professionals in various industries, and they come up with their experiences in terms of how they've made it. It's people in marketing, people in advertising, people in the legal profession, doctors, generally people in the services industry,
Yeah.
basically coming together, putting a book together in terms of how to become a trusted advisor. I'm enjoying the book, and I think it's a good arsenal in my toolbox, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Oh, great. I think you said you actually are not a big fan of self-help books, but in my mind, I'm thinking I actually, not that I enjoy them, I like
Yeah, yeah.
them. I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of things I've learned that I wasn't really taught, or there was never an explanation as to why
Yeah.
I do what I do.
No, certainly.
Things like making your bed, somebody undermines that,
Yeah.
but somebody analyzes it and says, once you make your bed,
Yeah.
every
It just
single
gives you that
day,
head start to
right?
the day. Yeah.
But also it's a measure of discipline,
Absolutely.
right? It's
Absolutely.
you practicing discipline, things like time management. Like, how do I manage my time? Is it a measure of disrespect if I arrive late? Am I missing opportunities? Things like that. One of the greatest lessons I learned from a self-help book was responsibility and accountability.
Okay.
Things like, the guy was just like, the first line in the book is life is unfair.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
life is unfair.
I hope he did
The
unpack
sooner
it.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the sooner you accept that,
The better.
you transcend it.
Okay, cool.
Once you accept that life is unfair, then you transcend the fact that life is unfair.
Okay, cool.
And then you start to take accountability for your actions, and you take
Absolutely.
responsibility.
Yeah.
And that shift, it changed my life so much. I do not have victim. I never feel like a victim in any circumstance.
Interesting.
No, I don't.
Maybe I must grab the book
No,
and,
I
and
don't.
stop being a skeptic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a victim.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that I have the power to respond to everything that happens around me.
Interesting.
There are things that happen for me and things that happen against me,
Yeah.
but I am not a victim of any of them.
Absolutely. And I
So
suppose it also speaks to a bigger point that it's also about how you respond to life situations,
exactly.
more than what happens to you.
Yeah.
It's about how you respond and how you view. I suppose certain things also has to do with perspective, Kens.
Yeah, true.
And perspective also influences so many things in our lives. Yeah, but I do
True.
take your point though, and I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll do better.
No. I'm not saying read them. I'm saying that there are certain
Yeah, yeah.
the family home doesn't teach us some of these things.
Yes, yes.
Then you get surprised at work why people care about time. Why nobody wants an excuse from you.
Yeah, I must say
Like
I'm such a stickler of time,
no, I see.
Yeah, not in a bad way, but I think arriving on time also shows respect as well, as you put it out. I think it's important. I'm such a stickler of time. I believe in keeping time. I think it's an important thing. It's an important quality. But obviously, life does happen. If you can't make it on time, but at least communicate.
Yes.
I think that's also very important as well. You can't communicate 10 minutes or 15 minutes before an appointment.
Exactly.
Because time is everything. I mean,
Yeah.
we sell time after all.
Exactly.
So yeah.
What vision do you have for South Africa?
Sure, that's a loaded question. But I suppose maybe let me start here, Kenzie. I'd love to live in a safe South Africa.
So good.
I think the crime levels in our countries have shot up into or have become something that's unimaginable, and having to live life constantly looking over your shoulder. It's not a nice thing. It's not a nice experience. We live in a beautiful country, and I think something has to be done about our crime. But I suppose these things also have got a ripple, or they're intertwined in a sense that you can't solve crime without solving the issue of unemployment.
Exactly.
You can't solve inequality without solving the issue of unemployment as well, or without growing the economy. So I'd love to live in a safe South Africa where everyone is gainfully employed, where everyone is preoccupied by productive things, so that we reduce crime, so that we live in a country that's thriving, and so that people can also enjoy South Africa. I mean, just to make an example, I've got friends that grew up in Davidson, but they've never been to Cape Town. Just to make an example. So those are the kind of things where you feel like, what, we all deserve an opportunity to enjoy this beautiful country, and it can't be right that the current status quo persists.
Yeah.
Because at some point something will give in, and I think everyone who's involved, be it government, us as well as leaders in corporate, we need to do something about it, because something will definitely give in one day, and I hope we don't get there. I hope we do fix our country. But for me, a sore point for me is how unsafe our country
Yeah,
is. Things about even GBV as well. The violence against women as well, and how life is no longer valued. People get killed
Exactly.
just for
A
a
cell phone.
a fraction of an amount. Someone can literally take your life. So I'm very passionate about issues of reducing crime in our country, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that you can't resolve the other without resolving the other.
Exactly.
So we need to grow the economy. We need to create more jobs. But in creating jobs, we also need to create quality jobs as well. And by doing so, we're also dealing with the issue of inequality as well, where everyone, can at least, be gainfully employed in our country, and work hard in making sure that we live in a thriving South Africa.
I think I agree. It's a lot of issues that are intertwined.
Yeah.
And I think again another aspect of it is we need to solve home situations.
Yes.
Some of the crimes that happen and then go through generation to generation is because of issues at home
Absolutely.
and the environments that people grow up in.
Absolutely.
And I think ultimately we can grow our economy and have employed
Yeah.
criminals.
But if we don't
You
look
know?
after that boy child and make sure
See,
that that boy child grows
exactly.
up into respecting women,
Yes.
into knowing that, you know, they've got a great responsibility in making sure that they are productive leaders in society as well. I think it's also very important. Obviously, looking after the boy child and also not neglecting the girl child as well. I think those things can be counterbalanced. But obviously, given the crime stats in our country, a lot of it has to do with the boy child having been neglected and they are growing up and they grow up and they start, you know, being naughty and graduate into bigger crimes and all of those things. But I do take your point.
But I'm so inspired by your investment into young people. And I think one last question, our time is almost up,
No problem.
is what do you see for Ziyanda in the future?
Okay, I think
You don't have to share everything because
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
people are weird and you don't want people to know your grand
no,
plans.
no,
but
certainly,
yeah,
certainly not.
Anything, one thing that you can share.
And I think Kenzie, when something is destined for you, it will happen.
Yeah.
I truly believe in that. So I think what's immediate for me now is to first grow my practice as a partner. I think that's very important to establish myself and to grow a partner's practice. And I think people tend to confuse, you know, especially when you're an associate, your work grows under your desk in a sense that people feed your work. But as a partner, things are different now. You need to go hunt for the work. You need to go get the work. I think my immediate goal now, and I think I've done well in my first year, I've settled in as a partner, but now is to grow my practice as a partner and eventually have my own team as well or build the current team that we've got. And eventually, I would be very happy, you know, in my professional career if I can produce about 5 to 10 partners and people who have trained under me eventually become partners and work hard and stay on in practice because a lot of people don't stay on in practice as well for their own reasons. So, but I'd be very happy if I were to produce about 5 to 10 partners in my career. You know, obviously it's a long term vision, but I'd be really, really proud of myself if I can do that. You know, people who have trained under you and they eventually become partners. I think it's the greatest joy and sense of proudness. You know, as any professional, seeing people that who've trained under you and eventually grow and become partners and having their own teams as well. I'd be happy if I can achieve that.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Ziyanda Sibeko, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This was an amazing conversation, and I hope it brings hope and inspiration and a challenge to our young people.
And thank you for the invite. I enjoyed this.
Yeah,
It
amazing.
went it went so well. And I think I enjoyed the conversation as well.
Amazing.
I was a bit nervous at the start, but I think I warmed up nicely and thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed our conversation.
Awesome. You nailed
Thank
it.
you.